Initially, we are going to have the JSON session now. In the beginning, if two systems want to communicate the data, they used to communicate by using a text format or HTML format. So if anybody want to exchange data across the network, if two systems want to exchange data across the network, they used to exchange the information in the form of text or HTML. But when you are exchanging the data in the form of text and HTML, there is a drawback. What was the drawback? Let me give you. I was sending the data like Sathish 34, Ravi 40. Like this the data was sent because it is in the form of text. When it is in the form of text, we are receiving the data, but the meaning of the data is not received. We are receiving the data called Sathish 34, Hyderabad, Ravi 40, Bangalore. Like this, we are getting the data. But the meaning of the data is not conveyed. When the meaning of the data is not conveyed, I find it difficult to parse the data. You have sent me the data, I received it, but the meaning of the data is not conveyed because I gave only 3 fields, you are getting it. If I give multiple number of fields, let's see. Now, this is the record of a particular person. Now, we are receiving the data, there is no problem in it. But parsing of the data has become difficult because in the data, meaning is not conveyed. In the data, meaning is not conveyed. So, to make it easy for the people, they shifted from text and HTML format to your XML format. So what is your XML format? When I say XML format, same data they are sending in the form of this is how they are sending. When they started the data, when they started sending the data in this way, what happened? We are knowing what is the data. At the same time, we are also understanding what data it is. Sathish, it's a name. Age, okay, 34 is age, right? We have Hyderabad as a city. So we have Sathish, name, 34, age, Hyderabad, city. We are getting the data. At the same time, we are also understanding the meaning of the data. Am I right or no? Compared to the HTML, in the HTML or text, data is exchanged, but the meaning of the data is not conveyed. But in this case, data is exchanged. At the same time, meaning is also conveyed. So it has become easy for me to parse the data. When it is easy for the data, for so long, they used XML as the mode of transferring the data, mode of exchanging the data. But what happened here, actual data is Sathish 34 Hyderabad. But overheads are, what are those overheads? Start of student, name start, name close, age start, age close, city start, city close. More than the data, that overheads are occupying more space. Data is less, Sathish 34 Hyderabad. Now when you are exchanging the data, what is your actual data? Sathish 34 Hyderabad. But what is the overheads? Student close, name close, age close. So city close. So what is that? More than the data, the space given for the overheads are more. So overheads are occupying more space than the data. Then the people start off reducing this data. overhead size. Right. As a solution to that, we got JSON. As a solution to that, we have JSON. So initially it is a HTML and text that has moved to XML. From XML we move to JSON. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It has nothing to do with JavaScript. Only the object format is used. The way you represent the object in the JavaScript, almost the similar format is used. Almost the similar format. Apart from that, it has nothing to do with JavaScript. So what is the JSON? JavaScript Object Notation. So in the JavaScript Object Notation, it will be like a name value pair. The way you represent map, how will you represent a map? Name value pair. Key value pair we say. In the map, we have a key value pair. In the JSON, we have name value pair. So what we are going to get here? Like this. Name. So compared to XML, the space is less. Now, if you compare with XML to JSON, overhead space is reduced, right? So what happened here? Initially we had a text format, then we had a XML format. To reduce the overheads, we got the format of JSON, JavaScript Object Notation, where data was represented in the form of name value pair, where everything is represented in the form of name value pair. Is that was clear for everyone? Right? Okay. Now, if you want to achieve this JavaScript, JSON format, how will you define the things? What are the basic data types we have? What is the JSON? So JSON is one of the format to exchange the data across the network. Over the network, if you want to exchange the data, one of the possible format is JSON. Again I repeat, JSON is one of the format to exchange the data across the network. JSON is one of the format to exchange the data across the network in the form of name value pair. Okay. Now let us take a basic level examples how you represent. Suppose I have a Apex class, public class student. Right. Now tell me how the data will be represented in general. Either data will be primitive data type, or the data will be S object, or the data will be collection, or the data will be stored in the form of wrapper classes. Am I right? Any data you want to share, either the data is going to be in the form of primitive data members, or collection, or S object, or wrapper class. Let us say I have a wrapper class. Now I told it should be in the form of name value pair. Flow bracket. What is the variable? Name. Now, what is the data you want to represent? Now, when I am exchanging the data, it is very clear. It is very clear. When you exchange the data, I am sending in the form of map. The third party system which is receiving, they may not have a map concept. You have a map concept with you, but they may not have a map concept. You have a list concept with you, they may not have a list concept. Suppose I am sending the data from Salesforce to some C application. In the C program, we don't have list set map. Right? We don't have list set map. In that case, how will you achieve? Right. Online people, am I audible? Online, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. Now they don't have this. Then how do they read it? So we need to look at the common formats. So the way we exchange the data, the third party may or may not be having the similar type of format. There is a reason both of us are coming to a common understanding where both of us can understand that format. Even my technology should support that format. Your technology also should support that format. So that neutral formats are your JSON, XML, text and HTML. I hope you're good. That is the reason why we are going for this JSON. Once again, I repeat the point. What is a JSON? Right. Not JNT also. What is a JSON? It is one of the format of exchanging the data across network. It is one of the format of exchanging data across the network with lower overheads, with a lesser overheads. Okay, so that both the systems can understand and communicate. Now, when you are going for this, in general, forget about the Salesforce. Forget about Salesforce. In general, what is the JSON? We'll see how to use it in the Salesforce. That's a second story. But in general, how the JSON will be. Let's understand the quick points. Now, what was in general JSON? JavaScript, object, notation, syntax for storing and exchanging the data. And JSON doesn't have any predefined structure. Okay, any predefined structure, we can form whatever the structure we want. The next one, when you are taking a JSON, what is the syntax? Syntax is going to be name value pair. The syntax is going to be in the form of name value pair. Now, all the names should be represented within the double quotes. Okay, name colon value. How we used to define it here? Name colon value. Name colon value. Name colon value. Name colon value. The first rule of JSON says JSON should start and end with floor bracket. The floor bracket means object. Floor bracket means object. Even if you use system.debug, how the code will be displayed? Floor bracket will be. So floor bracket indicates object. So JSON should start and end with object. JSON should start and end with object. And within the object, you are going to represent data. How are you representing the data? In the form of name value pair. Within the floor bracket, you are representing within the name value pair. Then, apart from this floor bracket, what are the other brackets we can have? There is only one scope. What is it? Now, this is to represent array of elements, list of elements, set of elements. Floor bracket object. If you have a group of element, array of element, list of element, set of element, in the JSON, they are represented as array bracket. Either you have an individual element, or you have a group of elements, or you have a object. There are only three possibilities: individual element, object, or group of element. Individual element, name value pair. Object, floor bracket. Group of elements, array bracket. Right, boss? So JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, where the data is represented in the name value pair. Every JSON will start and end with the floor bracket. Okay. Now, what are the possible data types we have? What are the possible data types we have? Right. This is the JSON. Now, what happened? I already discussed the point. Overheads are going to be more for the XML. Okay. XML is universally accepted format for long. Even till today, we use it. But still, performance-wise, why? If I am running an application from mobile, let us take, I am making a mobile application. I am using a payment gateway. Now, the size of the data is going to impact the application performance. Now, your mobile will not have the same capability of your desktop. The processor capability will not be same. Then obviously, what should I do? The mobile, the data what we are getting should be lightweighted. The data what we are getting on the mobile should be lightweighted. It should not be it should not be like XML. It takes more overheads. So to simplify, to make the operation faster on the mobile, we require what? JSON. Are you getting my point? One of the example. One of the example, mobile. Your mobile will not have the same capability of your desktop or a tab. Because of its compactness, because of its processor speed, it cannot have the same capabilities. So if you want the application to run faster on the mobile, obviously I should take lightweighted data. The mode of exchanging the data should be lightweight. So there I prefer to go with a JSON than XML. So the size of the data is going to impact the performance of the application. The size of the data is going to impact the performance. When you want to exchange the data, the data will be broken into packets and they will be given. Suppose you are giving a printout box. You are giving a printout. Now if you put the data in multiple pages, then what will happen? Time will be more. If you put entire data in a single packet, time will be less. More number of pages you are trying to print, more time it takes. Okay, if number of pages are 1, speed will be faster. Pages are 10, it takes more time. Am I right or not? Why? Because it takes certain time to print one page. It takes, okay, let us say 10 seconds to print a page. If you are printing 10 pages, obviously it takes 100 seconds. Similarly, when data is exchanged, data is broken into packets. And if number of packets are increasing, obviously it takes more time for the transmission. So if transmission time is more, performance time will decrease. So size of the data is directly proportional to your performance. Tell me one example where you can demonstrate this. Now I have a list of accounts. 3 records I kept in a list. I told insert accounts. Now 100 records I kept in a list. I told insert accounts. Which will take more time? Now it will take 100 records will take more time. Why? We are sending this data to the server and asking the server to insert, come back. So it takes time to transfer this data first. It takes time to transfer the data, perform the operation, revert back. So the size increases, the size of the data increase, performance will decrease. Now I need to reduce. To reduce the best format what we have is JSON. Out of the 3 choices, I have 3 choices. Out of the 3, the best option or optimal solution what I choose is JSON. Okay. Next, we are having data types. What are the generally used data types? String, number, object, array, boolean. Basic format. Now forget about Salesforce or .NET or Java. This is fixed format. Now in general, what are the data types we have? String, number, object, array, boolean, null. These are the general data types what we have. Okay. Now we have stringify. This is one of the concepts we frequently use in the Lightning. If you are going to Lightning classes, this is very frequently used term. JSON.stringify. Okay. This is one of the common format. This will be converting the JSON into string. Okay. This will be converting the JSON into string in the Java script. If you are using any scripting language, you want to convert JSON object into string, we use what? JSON.stringify. Remember this code when you go to Lightning classes or Lightning web components. This is the frequently used term in terms of Salesforce. Or if you are using any other scripting language also, if you want to convert the JSON object into string, what is the command we have to use? JSON.stringify. Okay. Now next, how we are going to represent object? Every object will start with curly braces, and within the curly braces we are going to have name value pair. Okay. This is a basic introduction about JSON. Okay. In general. So let us take the same story in terms of Salesforce now. If you want to learn all the same structure in terms of Salesforce, how will you define? So let us cover the same basics in terms of Salesforce. What was this? This is it. Format of exchanging the data, Close the refer. This is a self-describing language. This will maintain name value pair. This will maintain name value pair. JSON will start in with right. Syntax. What is the syntax? So it is going to be name value pair. It is going to be in the form of name value pair. Right. Now,
It will come on double quotes and numbers will come without double
exactly.
quotes.
Any numerical figures without double quotes, any non-numerical figures will be with double quotes. Boolean, numerical and null. Boolean, numerical and null. Null will be without
Satish, if there are like more than 100 elements in the name value pair, like we will go with the same way.
If there are 100 elements in the name value pair, you don't make it static, right? Now to demonstrate, I have taken a static values, but you are supposed to form this dynamically. Now, as a basic example, I give the static values. But if you want to make it dynamically, you will not be able to write like this. You have to form it dynamically. Okay. How to form dynamically? That's what we are trying to learn in the course. Okay. Right, boss? Now.
Okay, but normally in the XML, like I do get more than 100 elements.
If you allow me to completely, you'll be understanding. If you ask me the last point at the beginning, the discussion goes somewhere else. Now, whatever your question is there, that's what's called. We call forming the JSON dynamically. That's the topic what we are going to discuss. Then we are going to discuss the point what you asked me. Right? Now, let's not break the sequence. Right. And again, I'm making the point. I will clarify your queries at the end of the topic, or at the end of the before I give a break. End of every topic, I'll clarify. Please do not interrupt and ask the questions in between, because I'm making the point. Whatever the question you are going to ask, there will be a point. That point may be the last point or first point. Now, if you break the sequence, you try to compare with your application as the sequence, the basic sequence will be lost. People who are following the sequence will be losing it. So I give the time for asking the query. Every point that you are going to, once I complete, still anything that you are left, where your questions are unanswered, we can have a discussion. At every point, if you are having a discussion, class will not go. Okay. So I will answer your queries at the end of the theoretical description. Once my theory is completed, I will give the time for you to ask the questions. We can go ahead with this. Okay. Right, boss? Because most of the people are working people. The moment I give a topic, you compare with your application. Now, what is your application? Only you will follow. Rest of the people will not follow. The order of the topics will be lost. Okay. So there is a sequence of learning the topic. Now we cannot break the topic to answer the queries. So please, I'll give the time at the end, or at the end of the topic, or at the end of the session. You can ask me the question. We can get it done, so that others' time will not be interrupted. Right, boss? So I hope people understand the point. Okay. Now let me go back, because we're just in the introduction of titles of the movie. Okay. I cannot go to climaxing. Right, Amma? Let us come back to the story. Now, when you are going with this, how do you represent this format? Now, if I want to represent the format, let us say example. Let us create an example. Create student data in the form of JSON with name, last name, first name, phone. Create student data in the form of JSON with the last name, first name, phone. Create student data in the form of JSON with the last name, first name, phone. So how do you create it? Floor bracket. No. According to my requirement, it is a string. Now, internally I have taken data type as string. Internally I have taken a data type as string, so I am giving it. Okay, this is the format. Create a JSON to represent transfer contact information, last name, first name, phone. Create a JSON to transfer contact info with the last name, first name, email, account name.
Satish, just wondering, how do you indicate that the above data is for the student object or student class?
Now, see, I already assumed that the student wrapper class is there with the following members, so I asked you to create it. Okay, practically the wrapper class should be there internally, right? So at this point, I ask you to assume there is already a wrapper class called student with the following members. Okay, right. Now, contract. So what I am doing here? Same story. Last. This is the format in which I am defining. Okay. Now, the basic structure is clear for everyone. Okay. Look at the point. I have a class like this. Public class, phone data, public integer, serial number, public boolean, flag, right. This is the class what I have. Now, create a JSON in the form of account data. Now, this is the structure. So we have the class. So I want the data to be, this class data to be transferred. When you want this class data to be transferred, first we have serial number. One. And I have have a flag. True. Then I have floor bracket. Account. Now why was this? Look at this. Now your name is serial number, value is 1. Name is flag, value is 2. Name is ACC, value is object. If it is object, it should be in the form of floor bracket. Within the account, what we have? Name. This is how we represent it. I hope you got the structure. Serial number, flag, ACC. The name is serial number, value is 1. Flag is, okay, flag is name, value is 2. Then ACC is name, value is object. Object will be represented in the form of floor bracket. So this is the format of representing the above data. I hope you got the story. Everyone is good with that? Okay. Now again I have next example. Public class student. Public string name. Just add. Public class address. Here we have public string, city, place, no. Now create the data for the student. 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 Yes, sir. See, I am not making a DML operation. I want to send only the data which I want to send. Are you inserting the data? Now this is not DML operation. Now whatever the information I want to send. Now name is required for you. For third party it is not required. You are not trying to make a DML. You are only exchanging the information. Whatever the data I will convey the same. Yeah, not required. Whatever I want to transfer, I will transfer. You are not making a DML here. Okay. Right, boss? So, here he has a question. Do you have required fields on account? Should we transfer those required fields? Now, it is required for your application. It is not required for other application. According to your application, name and phone number is mandatory. Now, when you are sending this data to SAP, for them phone number and account ID is mandatory. So, we have nothing to do with your required fields. Whatever the information I want to transfer, only the data I will put. Now, we are not trying to perform any DML operation here. We are trying to exchange the information. So, whatever I feel like transferring to the third party, I will transfer it. Okay? Yeah. Now, how do you represent this? Okay. Here we have student. Now, I was taking name. age free. Then we had address. The value is city. Now we have this data. Right. Next, this is the value of. If you want, you can split them into multiple and so on. Okay. What is the next one we had? Comma. So we had last name. This is how I am treating. I hope you are good with this. Right. Object floor bracket. Object will be represented with the floor bracket. Object will be represented as floor bracket. Object will be represented as floor bracket. Okay. Next, let us go to the next example. This is the representation of object. Now, if you have array of elements, how will you represent? In general, first understand how you put it. Then we come back to making it dynamic in the programming. Okay. Next one we had create a JSON to store ages. Create a JSON to store ages. Array of ages. Now what I do? Floor bracket, ages. No. What was that? Ages, array of values. The name is ages. Value is 10, 20, 30, 40. 10, 20, 30, 40. 10, 20, 30, 40. Let us go to the next one. Create a JSON array of cities. So we have then create a JSON to store array of account records. Create a JSON to store array of account records. Create a JSON to store array of account records. Create a JSON to store array of account records. Now, let us go to the next part of the story. How do you create it? Accounts. It is array. Array of accounts. How will you represent each account? Floor bracket. How will you represent each account? Here we are. Education. Index equal to education. This is how we got it. Array of accounts. We have array of accounts. Don't copy, Emma. Make an attempt of writing. If you're not following, we'll take a couple of examples. Don't copy. If you copy, there is no use of learning it. Make an attempt of writing. If you got not following, we can take a couple of examples. People need to get hands-on experience in writing the code. Don't copy it. Make an attempt of writing. If you're not followed, let me know. Yes, Emma.
Hey, Sathish. So when we say to store the array of accounts, it means we are creating a new records in accounts?
No. We are creating a JSON format. Now from where we are fetching, we'll see it later. Right now, we are giving a static data. This data we want to exchange. It's only information. We are not creating an account. We are representing in the form of objects and sending it. That's all. So which data you are taking, from where you are taking, we are not worried because I am taking static data right now. Right. See, when I say accounts records, I am assuming that these are the records available in the database. I was giving. It is static data. I am not writing a query from database and putting it. When you write a query from database and get the data, how to represent, we'll see dynamically. But right now what I'm doing, how the format will be represented. Syntax we are learning it. Are you getting my point? Right now we are assuming that I have two accounts in this format. How do you transfer? Now if you want to make it dynamic, we have a format of fetching the data. We'll discuss that in short time. Right, boss?
Okay, sir.
Right. Create a JSON to store array of contact. Contacts. Instead of store, I will say send array of contacts. Now create this example, all of you. Create this example, all of you. Last time we first. Yes, Amma.
In the JSON, the name we providing there, is it case sensitive or it is in other way?
So when you're parsing it, it will become a case sensitive, Amma.
Okay. That means what are the variable name we define in the class is the same case sensitive as in define in the array of the JSON.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Now create a JSON to send array of contacts. Create a JSON to send array of contacts. Everyone make an attempt of writing it. If you are finding it difficult, let me know. We can take a couple more examples. But make an attempt of writing it. Yes, Amma.
So if we are sending these values like name as capital or industrial education, so the target also should have same values, correct?
Now what is the mechanism they use for parsing is their choice, right? Now I am sending like an account. For you, account is a table. They will not have an account table. Then they'll have their own mechanism for parsing it. See, when you are sending now in your Salesforce, we are sending, here's a question, we are sending a data in the capital, N, they will also have the capital N. Now the point here is, according to the Salesforce, there is a table called account. The other application to which you are sending, they don't have any table called account. Are you getting my point? Then they have their own mechanism of parsing it. So the data or the tables what you have in your application may or may not be available in other party. Now in this application, in the JSON, I am sending one account data, one contact data. They might have a wrapper class which will have this account and contact. Now according to the third party, I am sending the data from Salesforce to, let us say, a Java application. In the Java application, there is no standard table called account. There is no standard table called contact. Then what they will do? They will have some other class array, other tables. Now, when I send the data, how do they parse? How do they use? Is their headache. Now there are 2 points. When somebody sends you the data, how do you parse? How do you use is our requirement. Similarly, when I send the data, with the data, what they will do is their requirement. How do they parse? According to their technology, how do they parse? What is their requirement? Take this data, do they want to insert a record in some other table? Do they want to delete the table? Now what they want to do is a requirement. So how do they parse? According to their technology, according to the technology what they are using, language whatever they are using, they will try to parse it. Got my point? So what is our aim? If somebody send you data, according to Salesforce, how do you parse it? If the Salesforce want to send a data to third party, how do you put the data in JSON and send it? That's what we are going to learn. Now when you send the data, if the other guy is a Java guy, he has to learn how to parse the data in the Java, how to parse the JSON data in Java, or if he want to send a data to any other, how to create a JSON data using Java. That's what he is going to learn in this technology. From our technology point of view, what we need to do? There are two possibilities. One is either you have to send the data or you will receive the data. If you have to send the data, how will you create a JSON object and send it? If you receive the data, how will you parse the JSON and receive it? Now there may be different formats. Are you getting? Right. Every data what they are sending, I may or may not have the same tables here. Now here I have taken classes I have taken. In some cases I am taking a table. Now it depends upon the context. I hope you got my point. So people are good with this example? Okay. Now let us understand the next story. We are trying to understand how do you start working with the JSON in the Salesforce. Yes, Amma? Make it fast. Make it fast, Ananda. What is your query? Okay. Right. Now look at the point. In JSON, how do you implement the JSON in the Salesforce? There is a namespace called system. What is the namespace we have? System namespace. Under the namespace of system, we have some predefined Apex classes. What is the namespace we have? System is the namespace under which we have some predefined JSON classes like JSON, JSON parser, JSON generator. Like we have JSON parser, JSON generator. So what was this? We have a predefined Apex classes which are defined under system. Under the system, what we have here, look at the point. If you go to system, JSON class, JSON generator, JSON parser, JSON token. These are the 4 elements which are defined in the Salesforce to help you to serialize, deserialize data using JSON. These are the 4 classes or 3 classes and 1 enum. These are the predefined functionalities which are defined by the Salesforce to serialize and deserialize, serialize and deserialize the data in the form of JSON. Now, let me give you this point. First, we need to understand what is serialize and deserialize. What is serialize and what is deserialize? First one, serialize means any object what you have is converted in the form of string. Object converted in the form of string is called serialize. Object converted in the form of string. Object converted in the form of string is called serialize. Why? Data is exchanged across the network only in the form of string. If Java application want to send a data to Salesforce, it has to be sent in the string only. If the .NET application want to send the data to Salesforce, it has to be sent in the string only. If the Salesforce want to send a data to SAP, string only. Data across the network is exchanged in the form of string. Data across the network is exchanged in the form of string. So what we need to do? Serialize. What is the meaning of serialize? What is the meaning of serialize? Converting the object into the string format is called serialized. Right. The process of converting object into deserialize. What is a deserialize? Now I have list of accounts. I converted the list of accounts in the form of string. I sent to the Java people. Now what the Java people will do? Convert the string into the form of object and use it. While sending, original data is converted into object I have sent. Once they receive, they have to convert the string into original object and use it. This is called deserialize. What is the deserialize? Process of converting the string into original object. So serialize and deserialize. Right. The next one. We have system. What is the system? System is a namespace. Under the namespace of, we have couple of Apex classes. Predefined Apex classes. To serialize and deserialize. To serialize and deserialize the data. What are the classes we have? JSON generator. Next, we also have some predefined tokens. To parse the JSON. Was that JSON? So JSON generator, JSON parser, JSON token. In this, we'll start with the first one. First class is JSON class. This class contains all the methods required to serialize in the form of JSON. Right. So first, we'll start with the first method. First method is serialize. Serialize. Okay. First method we have is serialize. The second method we have, listen carefully, Amma. We have serialize. Then we have serialize pretty. Then serialize nullify. There are 4 methods we have. Similarly, we have a couple of methods for deserialize. Deserialize. First, we are going with straight away fixed methods. Right. In the beginning, someone has asked me the question, dynamic, how do you pass the values using a dynamic? Here comes your requirement. Here. Create in the beginning, somebody is asking me, the first 10 minutes of the class, somebody is asking me, how do you put that dynamic data, hundreds of records? This is what we are going to use. Using this method, we are going to use it. And somebody is asking me, like it should be capital or small. I told that different systems will have different formats. So when you say parser, this is the format of parsing the dynamically. So these two are used to parse the data dynamically or generate the JSON string dynamically. These are the two methods which are used to generate or parse the data dynamically. Last two are the methods which are used to serialize and deserialize the data dynamically. Right? So completely, these are the methods which are defined under JSON. Out of these methods, we'll start the first method here. Look at the first method, serialize. What the serialize will do? This method will convert a given JSON, given object in the form of string. This will convert the given object in the form of string. Now, look at the point. Integer is equal to 10. Now I have string. JSON dot. If I am using JSON dot serialize, what does it mean? It is a static method. If I am using JSON dot serialize, the serialize is a static method. I have decimal string. How are you doing? JSON dot. Then I have account ACC equal to. Then I'm converting string JSON dot. At the same time, I'm creating one Add a class called student. Some data I have given. So string right, boss. So what I'm doing, I have taken a primitive data members, integer, decimal, and I have taken S object. I have taken the S object and I have taken the student data. Now basically serialize is to serialize the data, right, boss? Then I am giving here serialize whatever the data we have given, object, student object, account object, all this stuff. It is converting in the form of JSON. Now it is a primitive. That's the reason straight away we got 10,000. Non-primitive, name, Ravi, date of birth, so and so. I have not printed account. So what I was doing here, at the same time I have, now you need to understand one point. Primitive members when I serialized, we are not getting flower brackets, just converted into string. Primitive members when you converted into JSON, primitive members we converted into JSON, integer converted into string, decimal converted into string. So just it's a string value. But when you take objects, it is represented in the form of JSON, right? So here we have STD. I have array of students. Then I have string. Then we have taken. So this is how we are doing. So serialize will convert the object in the form of string. Serialize will convert the object in the form of string. So we got here array of. I hope you are good with this one. I hope you are good with this. It is converting the object in the form of string, not the JSON, not exact format of JSON. It is converting the object in the form of string. Converting the object in the form of string. So finally, object is converted in the form of string. Basically, in the format of JSON. Okay. Now look at the format. If you take an integer, it is not taking like integer 10. It is taking only 10, which is given as 10. 10,000 is given as 1000.00. Are you getting my point? Converting object in the form of string. Converting object in the form of string. This is converting the object in the form of string. So this is called serialize. This is called serialize. JSON.serialize. Okay. Second point we need to convey here. This is a static method. I hope everyone has followed this example. I hope everyone has followed this example. Right, boss? Am I clear with this? Okay. Let's go to the next one. People are good to this example, right? Yes or no? Come again, you are sending the data in the form of a string. You need to convey them. There is a documentation for the integration. See, now it's simple. When you purchase a fridge, they give a manual for you, right? What is the purpose of that manual? We don't know how it works. You'll go through the manual and set up the things. When you purchase any new software or installation guide, what do? You follow the manual. Why the manual? The documentation which has given how to specify. Now, when you open a Google and want to integrate with the Google, how do you know to which URL you have to send? How do you know what data they are sending? There will be documentation. They specify this is the format in which we are sending. This is the data what we are sending. Based on the documentation, you have to understand what format of data we are receiving, how we are going to get it. But you know, okay.
Sathish?
Come again, See, now there is a typecasting, type conversion, Apex programming. Here's a question: how do you convert an integer to decimal, decimal to integer? That is what regular Apex programming, typecasting and type conversion. Here, what we are doing? It is a JSON, converting any object to string. Okay. Yes, Sanam. Online, what is your query, Amma?
Sathish, can you go to the Apex class?
The code what I created?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you explain step 20?
Now it's array of students. Already I have taken a student here, right? The same thing I created thrice. Basically, I have to create 3 different students. The same student I kept thrice to make it array.
Okay.
It's an array of students. Okay. Just to say that we are converting an array, I have to create an array and the same data what I have created thrice. 3 times I inserted the same student. Static declaration of array number. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Now, come back to the next story. The next story what we have is serialized pretty. Now, what is the serialized pretty? What is the serialized pretty? Now, JSON data will be represented in 2 formats. One is a regular format, other one is pretty print format. JSON will be represented in 2 formats. One is a regular format, other one is a pretty print format. So, what do you mean by a pretty print format? Look at the structure here. Now, generally the data will be printed like this. This is the structure. When I say pretty print format, data will be printed like this. Now, is there any variation in the data? There is no change in the data. Only between the tokens, there will be a space. There is 1 character space between the tokens. Between every token, they give 1 character space. When I say JSON pretty print format, they are going to give 1 character space between the tokens. Between every token, they give 1 character space. This is what? Pretty print format. We call it as pretty print format. There is no variation. There is no variation in the data. There is only a variation in the format in which they are represented. They give 1 character space between elements. They give 1 character space between elements here. So, to make it understandable to you, I'll give an example here. So, I have taken student. Then what is this? JSON.serialize. The same story I am creating. One equal to JSON.serialize pretty. Same object I am serializing. Execute. Serialize pretty. The regular format without any spaces, the advanced format, they have one character space. That's how they represented in the next time. Pretty print format, name, Ravi, date of birth, age. So if you look at this, are you getting any space between the name and colon? But here you have space between name and colon, Ravi. Elements are coming to the next time, DOP, age. Are you getting my point? So they give one character space between every element. Tokens are separated by one character space. That is called a pretty print format for the quick, better view. Right, boss? So as per the conversion is concerned, there is nothing new. As per the conversion is concerned, there is nothing new. But only the presentation format is different. Between the tokens, they give one character space. Between the tokens, they give one character space. Is that was clear? Okay. Go back to the story now. What we have? This method will serialize the object. JSON pretty. This is a static method. Then I'll try to print the output here. The output is going to be this is how we got it. Then the other one is it's a pretty print format. This is how we got it. I hope you're good with it. Serialize and serialize pretty. The next we have very important point, that is serialize object suppress apex object nulls. Now what was that? Look at the point. Try to get my point here. Here the student age I was not giving. Student will have name, date of birth and age. I was not giving the age. If I don't give the age, I have given the age. Name, date of birth I given. Now when I go to this, in the regular serialize, if any null values are, if any values are not entered, it says name Ravi, date of birth so and so, age null. The fields for which the values are not entered, the elements for which the values are not entered, they are represented as a null. But when you say suppress null value, only the data what we entered is represented in the form of JSON. Rest of the fields are removed from the expression. So look at this format: name Ravi, date of birth, age null. If you don't pass the value, corresponding value will be represented in the JSON as a null. When I say suppress, only the elements whose values are entered, only the elements whose values are entered, they are represented in the JSON. Null values are removed from the expression. I hope you are good with this. Serialize, it will serialize the object in the form of JSON. In case the object which you are converting into JSON, if they have any null values, they are removed from the expression. I hope you are good. Am I clear? Am I clear, boss? Right? Change some expressions. Unable to track your. It won't pass the age value. No, the second one you have seen, no. The first one is without suppression. Second one is with suppression. First one is okay, serialized. Second one is serialized by suppressing null value. Okay. Right, boss? Am I clear with this? Okay. Now, what was the structure here? So we had the structure. Third method we have is no.
Sathish, I'm having a question. Sathish, can you hear me?
Type the question, Amma. There's a lot of echo. Type the question. Type the question. This method will convert the object to JSON string, and while converting, JSON string, after conversion, null values are removed from the expression. Right. Now, there is a question here. If you are converting account into JSON string, we give 3 fields. Only those 3 fields are represented. Remaining fields are not represented, right? So for S object, already they are suppressing. For S object, already they are suppressing. Other than S object, if you are converting into JSON string, if they have null values, we need to manually suppress it. If you are taking S object, account you are taking. When you are taking account, I only give name and industry. There are so many other fields are also, right? So the Salesforce by default suppressing null fields for S object. Other than S object, if you are trying to convert into JSON string, there we need to manually suppress it. Right, Amma? I hope you got my point. S objects, when you are serializing, by default the Salesforce is suppressing the null values for S objects. Other than S objects, if you are trying to take, there we need to manually suppress it. I hope this is clear. Someone from online. We have this expression. So here we had the next one. What is the output we are going to get? Cross check the expression. Here I need to print your notice about the date field. What I told, other than numerical fields, Boolean, null, rest all will be represented in double quotes. Other than Boolean, null, numerical fields, rest all will be represented in double quotes. This is a date of birth, which is the date field. Still it is represented in double quotes. So other than numerical fields, Boolean fields, and null, everything is represented in double quotes.
Satish, true is true means it is suppressing, right?
Yes, Amma.
Okay. So by default it will be false.
False.
Just making true.
Yes, I'll add up that point. I forgot to add here. If we pass flag value as true, this will suppress the null value. By default, right away. Same story. Right? I hope you are good with this. Okay. Next, the last method of serialization. The last method of serialization. What we are doing right now is only static serialization. Okay, I am not fetching the data from database. I am not putting the data whatever I want. Still, what I am doing is only static serialization. I have object converting into string. I am not forming dynamic string. I am not forming dynamic object. I have an object directly converting into string. The last method what we have is serialize pretty suppress null value. The same story, only the difference is data will be in pretty print format. Only the difference is, okay, so serialize the JSON object into, right, the same, there is no difference here, the same, only the point here is, here the output is going to be, now only the difference between pretty and non-pretty is only the space. Otherwise, everything is. I hope you are good with this. Now, this is a static expression. Very good. Yes, Amma.
In 113 line, so the true value means you are making the null values as that the values are present as null, correct?
Exactly. Null we are removing it. If you pass the flag value as true, this will suppress the null value. That suppresses the null value. Now this output is coming for the first line, Amma. This is the first line, right?
Yes.
For this line, this is the output. For this system.debug, this is the output. If I don't use it, you will get null. If I use a pretty std flag as true, this will suppress the null value. What it about?
Yes, Satish. So even though we use the serialize pretty or serialize, then we have to mention the value as true or false, correct?
Obviously, right?
Or that's value true.
If you don't mention it, serialize pretty is already defined on the top, right? We already have a method called serialize pretty. Now, what is the difference between this and this? That Boolean value is the additional thing. If you put that Boolean value, null values will be suppressed. Now, serialize, suppress null value. Serialize pretty, suppress null value. If you want to suppress the null value, you have to add Boolean flag. I hope you're good. Yes, there is a method of serialize pretty, and there is another method called serialize pretty string comma flag. If you give the flag, it will remove the null values. Okay. Now, okay, I hope everyone has followed this basic serialization. Now the point is, why do you want to go for dynamic serialization? Let us take a quick example. Now, I have a requirement like this. I am giving a web service call. I have some method. What this method is doing, it is trying to insert a record. It is trying to insert the record. When I try to make an insert record, somebody is giving the data. Otherwise, I am giving here. Some third-party system is giving the data. Somebody from third party, they are giving the data. With the data, I was trying to insert. Now, this is a web service method. Somebody is trying to give the data from outside. When they are giving the data from outside, right, they are passing the data. Now, there is a possibility that they may pass the value or they may pass the null value. There is a possibility that they may pass the value or they may pass the null value. Now, suppose name they gave us a null. Name they gave us a null. What will happen to this insert? The insert will fail. Now, after inserting the record, I have to make an attempt to insert a record. If insert was successful, then I have to give the message like this. Status. Success. Status code. ID. This is the message. Suppose if the insertion failed, then I have to give a message like this. Status failed. Status code. Some I am giving 40. We have some internal codes 40. Then errors. So, am I giving a fixed message? The message will change, depends upon the DML operation. If the DML was success, the first message I have to give. If the DML was failure, I have to give the second message. Now here, we are not sending a fixed message. The message what I want to send to third party depends upon the operation what we are trying to perform. Now suppose I am writing a SQL query here. Let us take. I told list of account. Now, this is the first question. Somebody is asked me at the beginning, right? This is the format. Name, phone, from account. Now, I got 1000 records. Now, can you guarantee how many records we are getting? Now, I got 0 records. I got 0 records. They told based on industry, get the data. They have passed some search text. From third party, they have given a search text. They told get me all the accounts. When I made a search, I got 0 records. Then when I got 0 records, I want to send a message like this. No, I got 1000 records. If you got 1000 records, what should I do? I want to select it. Now, what was this? Now, this is not a fixed message. This is not a fixed message. This is not a fixed message. We are forming the query. Now, query may be success, may be fail. So, I have to form the JSON string. Depends upon the operation what we are forming. I don't have a fixed. Serialize is what? If you have a object, I will convert it to string. But whereas this is, I have to form the string of my own. Depends upon the logic that is running, I have to form the string of my own. Depends upon the logic that is running, I have to form the string of my own. Now I told, get me accounts with a list of contacts. Account may have contact, may not have contact. If contact is there, put the contact list. Contacts are not there, only display account list. Now what was this? When you are making a dynamic operation, I cannot create a serialize and deserialize with the JSON.serialize. JSON.serialize will only work when you have a fixed object which you want to convert into string. If you want to form the data dynamically and put it in the JSON, then static serialization will not work. Then we are supposed to go for dynamic serialization. To do the dynamic serialization, we have a concept here called JSON dot create generator. What is the method we have here? Create generator. I'll just give a quick small example. The rest we'll see in the next session, but I'll just cover a basic example. Look at the format: public string Okay, I'll make a straight away method public void create. Now when I'm trying to insert the DML may fail because of the trigger, DML may fail because of the validation rule, DML may fail because of the required field. There may be a number of reasons. Maybe fail because of because of validation, because of required field, because of some trigger operation. Okay. So what I'm doing, I'm just giving the example. Explanation I'll give in the next class. Look at the point. System.json create generator. If I give true, it means create in the form of pretty print format. If I give true, it is in the form of pretty print format. Now it is going to be formed right start object. I will explain all this in the next session. Right. I'm just trying to convey what is the static. Right. JS.write. How actually it will work, I'll convey to the next session.
Satish, next class on Saturday, is it going to be at 7:30 your time or 8:30?
Let me complete the class. I'll explain it. Now, we got it here. So what I was trying to do, try because the DML may fail, so I wrote a try catch. I'm not sure whether it's going to be success or failure. Then I wrote insert ACC. Then if the statement was successful, then I was giving right. So what I'm doing, I'm inserting the data into the JSON dynamically. I'm inserting the data into the JSON dynamically. If it is failed, no. Now what was this? Boss, somebody is trying to call this service from outside by passing some data. If the DML was successful, they are giving status success. Okay, ID of the field is so and so. At the same time, I am also giving Internally, we are using some codes to represent this. I use some code. Right. Now, is a fixed object I am converting? Now I am putting the data into the JSON as per my requirement. This is not a static. Previously, I already had account converted into string. But here, we are forming the JSON string with the dynamic values. As per your logic, as per your business logic, whatever the data we are taking, according to that, we are trying to form a JSON data. Okay. Then how does somebody execute? Just to convey that we can form the JSON data dynamically, I am taking this. Then they had a method called create. Phone number, right? So I gave null as a string value. I have not printed the value. 1 minute. I was supposed to print. Now depends upon the context. Now they give status, failed, error, insert failed, first exception, so and so, status code. Are you getting my point here? So this message is formed as per our operation. If there was a successful operation, this is how we got to get status success, ID equal to so and so, status code 100. Now this is to form the data dynamically. Most of our business requirements will be dynamic requirements. Most of our requirements will be going to be dynamic requirements. Based on our business logic, what we are trying to implement, we want to put different type of data into your JSON. It is not a standard data which I always give it in the form of JSON. My JSON data is going to change based on the operation what I am trying to perform. In that case, I have to form the JSON string dynamically. I told you, I want to write a SQL query. I got 100 records. Put them in the JSON and send it. Now, if there are no records fetched from the SQL query, then I have a different format of JSON. If I fail, if I write a SQL query, when I got the records, put them in different format. I am trying to write a SQL query to fetch account with the list of contacts, opportunities, and cases. If data was found, then account with the contacts with the opportunities I will set. Accounts are found, contacts not found. Accounts are found, opportunities are there. Accounts are found, contacts and opportunities are there. So what happened? Depends upon the type of data what we are getting. Depends upon the business operation what we are doing. The data what we want to put in the JSON is different. Then I have to form the data dynamically for the JSON. Inserting the data into JSON dynamically is what we are supposed to learn. I hope you got my point. So all my first examples which I gave in the beginning of the class, this is what only to all these examples what I gave, all these examples to demonstrate how the format will be. To tell you that name value pair will be like this, I have taken this. But now, if you look at this example, how did I put my data in the JSON? Right? If status is successful, I took the account ID. Now, this is the way how we are going to put the data dynamically. Right? The beginning examples what I have taken, they have taken to represent the format in which the JSON will come. Now, in the Salesforce, how are you going to put the data in the JSON? This is the format. Are you getting my point? So we need to know how do you put the data dynamically into JSON string. Now to do this, what is this method we had here? The method what we have is create generator. Right? So in the next session we are going to see how we are going to use create generator and put the data dynamically into the JSON string. Right, boss? Okay. And the next class will be at 7:30 on Saturday. Next class will be at 7:30 on Saturday. From now, the class will be Vinith. Meet your microphone. Type your message, Vinith. Right. Now, next class, from next Saturday, the class will be at 7:30 a.m. From next Saturday, class will be at 7:30 a.m. Okay, 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Okay. Vinith, mute your mic. Type your message.
So it is 7:30 to 9:30?
10:30. The class timing will be 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Yeah, today at what time class started?
8:30. 8:45.
Okay, so the declarative integration has been finished.
Pardon me, come again.
Declarative integration part.